So good afternoon. This is my mum, Wendy. Say hello.
Hello.
And I have tried to explain lasting power of attorney and activation keys time and time again. It's a real pleasure to just try and make sense of it because I get more questions about that than anything else. So my mum has, well, she hasn't had a lot of choice really, but she's been press ganged into doing this little video with me to try and talk through lasting power of attorney and activation keys. So go, mum.
Do I need to activate my LPA?
Right, so question one is, do I need to activate my lasting power of attorney? There's a real difference between registration and activation. Now, if your lasting power of attorney has come back from the Office of the Public Guardian, you've got those perforations on the bottom, it has been registered. So if it's got the perforations, you've got the document back, you don't need to activate it as such, and there's a real tension of words. So if it's registered, you don't need to activate it. So question one done. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Jolly good.
Question two, once it's registered, how can I see my LPA online?
Cracking question. So this is really getting to the nuts and bolts. Once your lasting power of attorney has been registered and it's got those perforations on it, you can use what's called the government use a lasting power of attorney service. So I'll talk you through that. So there is a service, and I'll put the link above this video so that you can see your lasting power of attorney online. You can see the data for it and you can share that data as well. Does that help?
Very good. Question three, what is an activation key?
Oh, exciting. So once you get that letter from the Office of the Public Guardian that says that your lasting power of attorney has been registered, you will see the activation key on that letter. And I'm not going to answer you properly, but I'm just going to tell you that where the activation key is first of all. And then if you ask me the next question, I know we've scripted this a little bit, but then I'll try and answer that in both. And you can test me, Mum, see if it makes sense.
Okay, next question. What is the reference number?
Okie dokie. So each lasting power of attorney has an individual reference number, and that letter I mentioned, the one you'll get from the Office of the Public Guardian, that will have the reference number and the activation key on it. Now we're going to start joining all those dots up. Once you have logged on to use my lasting power of attorney, once you've logged on to that and created an account, you can then add the activation key and you can add the reference number to it. And it does sound a bit complicated, but if you work through it step by step, it does. Does it make sense?
Mm-hmm.
You've done it, haven't you?
I think you did it for me.
Well, yeah. Okay, you've got an advantage. Go on then.
Right, next question and last question. What is an access code?
Oh, super. So working through the steps, we've got a registered lasting power of attorney. We've set up the use a lasting power of attorney service. You've inputted the activation key. You've inputted the reference number. Now you've got all that lobbed in and shoved in. An access code can be generated. Can you remember that? That's a code that you can share with organisations like banks or like hospitals to enable them to view the lasting power of attorney. Once you get that access code, Mum, do you know how long it's valid for?
No.
Bonus question. Each access code is valid for 30 days. So a little run through on lasting power of attorney and activation keys. Thank you, Mum. Does that make sense?
When you say they send an access code, does that come through automatically? Or do you have to ask for it?
That's not scripted. That comes through on my use a lasting power of attorney service. So once you've set up, thank you for clarifying, you've set up the service, you've inputted the activation key, you've inputted the reference number, you're doing that online, and the access code appears online as well.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.